What's up, guys? Welcome back to the weekly scraps. As requested, we have Ray Longo,
my man,
in the building.
I'm so excited to be on the scraps. You have no idea. I want to scrap it up on this Thursday afternoon. I don't want to do anything else. Just scrap it up.
You know, it's funny. Every time you do ask, I feel like I can't tell if he's breaking my balls.
I'll tell you. I go back to the Rogan interview with you. What about Ray Longo? I'm not really sure where he's coming from, but yeah. I go, man, that was pretty accurate, because he would take off for like 2 days, and I'd go, Aljo, there's a big fight coming up. Maybe you want to, push it a little bit. And he's like, no, my body hurts. And I'm like, all right, that's good. And then he's telling Rogan, yeah, I'm not really sure where he's coming from. I know where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
we got to crush it.
And that's like the old school mentality, I think, especially like for us with wrestling. And back in the day, we used to just run ourselves through the wall. That was like the only thing that we knew.
Yeah. And you were young enough to do that.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that has to be said. There's something about youth. You could keep pushing and recovering quicker.
Yeah.
At that point, you don't need a TRT or anything else. Your just body's flowing. It's natural.
Wake up and go again.
Just wake up and go, man. But I think that's the key, and I think you did a great job of that, is learning how to adapt to your own body. You know? Because I always thought about
time.
Yeah, it's 100%. And I think it took time for me to understand where you were coming at too. I think you made me better by just maybe saying, you know what, certain guys you gotta let them figure it out. And I think you did a great job with that. Because and I never wanted to be one of those guys. It's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Because that's not. But I do think if you talk to Matt, he'll give you one view of me, then Weidman another view of me, then you another view of me. I think I started doing less and less and less as I got older, but I don't know.
What's up, guys? As you know, I partnered up with Nerd Focus. Check out nerdfocus.com and tell them I sent you. I don't have any promo code or anything like that. I just want to let you guys know that it's a beautiful energy drink, nootropic. They say nootropic, I don't know, potato, patata. It's the same thing. Bada bing, bada boom. Go get you some on stores everywhere, nerdfocus.com. Check out amazon.com. Get it delivered to your house. Good stuff, great ingredients. I'm telling you guys right now, Nerd Focus, I wouldn't drink it if it wasn't good, and I wouldn't tell you to drink it if I wasn't drinking it. So check these guys out, and thank you guys for tuning in. Let's get back to the show. There's that one slogan we have on here, like one of the gym monikers is like train hard or go home.
Oh, no, let me tell you something, but I swear to God, first of all, if I had that patented back in the day, that was copyrighted.
Yeah.
Because the workouts were crazy. But everybody was younger, and it was dealing with a different group of people. And it's still like that. It's more train smarter or go home at this point, So it took me a while to get into that, because I just I am really from that school, like the training should be harder than the fight. And we still kind of hold to that, I think,
I
at
think
times,
so.
But with a little more, look, I'm way smart about injuries now than I ever was. Back in those days, you didn't even have any of this type of massage therapy, or even PT was new. Like, if you got injured, you were taking like Relafin or Celebrex, and that was it,
My high school coach would be like, is it broken? And he'd be like, no. He'd be like, okay, tape it up and get your ass back out there.
Yeah, that's it.
And that was literally the mentality that I had coming up into this sport.
So as much as it's changed a little now, that mentality really helped you, though.
No, it did.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like going into the military. I think that's a great thing. You got to be in there. You get your 3 years in or whatever. It made you do something that was hard. It's just almost like having a shitty job, And I think one of the things, even with champions, they always had adversity in their childhood. You need that drive.
Yeah.
And you could get guys to say, I think that's bullshit. But me personally, I think I've witnessed it. I've seen it. I think I can come up with that with you. I can come up with that with Chris. I can come up with that with Matt. You know what I mean? Like, we even talked about Serra. That guy, was going to be like a security guard. That was his ceiling, like. And he took that opportunity, and he freaking didn't want to be that guy.
And he took an ear off too.
He took the ear off. I mean, Matt Serra was supposed to go in. He was in the early entry special forces program.
Yeah.
And then after that incident with the ear happened, they threw him out. Which is, when I was growing up, if you did something like that, you had two choices. You're either going to the military or you're going to jail. And a lot of people took the military. Now, the military, everything got so I don't want to say, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but yeah, they wouldn't even let him go in the military. But technically, those are the guys you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A guy that's willing to do anything to survive, right? So
100%.
It's crazy. But look, he could have, you know, he'll tell you better than me because we've always talked about it. But, you know, he's had a couple of court cases. The second one we haven't even talked about yet. But, you know, I've been through a lot with him. You know what I mean? Like, and I know him since he's 17 years old. So I couldn't be happier for a guy. But he did have adversity. He could have went one way, and he chose to go the other way. And look, the guy's a success story. So that's really good.
And I feel like some things are better left unspoken about. You know, just for behind the scenes.
As long as you could grow from it and get better, it's all good.
Oh no, I mean for like the public masses to hear about.
Yeah.
Like it's better to like have stories they could just bullshit with the boys.
Well, I did just tell that story only because he had told it before, but
the other one?
Yeah, no,
not the air one. The other one.
The other one we should get to because that also involved Rodrigo Gracie. Well, we're gonna, you know what? We'll do a teaser. We'll save that for another one just to get everybody in. But I just talked to him about it because. You know, it was another court case where I'm like, he was looking at like 7 months in jail if he didn't take the plea. And like we were fighting at that point, but it wasn't televised, right? So you didn't have the notoriety. And now, and I'm like, man, if they find out you're a fighter, I go take the plea. He goes 100% not taking the plea. He was so dead on, I'm fighting the case. The guy's bullshit, and that's not what happened. Blah 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 blah, and that's it. But we'll put a teaser out for that.
Yeah.
You know, we got to run it by the big man to see if he's okay with that. But I know he is because we actually just spoke about it, and that's actually a funnier story. But
so I got a question for you. This is just something I always wondered. Like, who is like your most difficult guy to ever corner in terms of like just from like the whole day or weekend, going through the week or going through the weekend with them, leading up to like weigh-ins or the day of the fight, in terms of like anxiety, emotion, whatever it is. Like, I feel like you have to have had someone who is like,
I mean, but
I don't want to say the worst, but maybe an interesting fighter for you to try to navigate the waters with, because everyone has their own way of doing things. And I know, like, even for myself, when I first came in, people thought I was a lunatic doing like 2-hour warm-ups.
Oh yeah, well that was crazy. With him, I'm not even kidding. So the first time I corner Aljo, I go to Pennsylvania, and Al's with you.
Al, yeah.
And Al is like, the guy sweating, he's freaking, like, he looks like he's going to die. I go, what are you doing? He goes, the guy's been going for 7 hours. Like, this is now we're in the back in the dressing room, and you got Troy, and I don't even know what I'm looking at. I'm like, this guy's got to be crazy. He is just, it's 3 hours before the fight, and I'm like, I've never seen that before. So I'm going to say with you, there were things I never saw before. Everybody else, like, when Matt was fighting at 55, you didn't want to be nowhere near him when he was making that weight.
Yeah.
Like that just, so I learned early, I think I would give him like, all right, you got 2 times to yell at me and then I'm getting the fuck out of here, you know what I mean? And then I put somebody else in there to watch him because, you know, at 55 for him was tough. And then Weidman, the times he made the weight 30 pounds in 7 days, I mean, you don't want to be around. When he fought Damian Maia and did the weight cut like that,
was it 10, 11 days?
I'm going to say 11 days, 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that. We'll have to check with him. Think of that, Aljo. Think of that. So he goes into the sauna for 15 minutes. He's got like 4 pounds to go. He doesn't lose an ounce. And I'm like, dude, take the fine. You're doing them a favor. Like, you're jumping in at the last minute. Nah, he just refused to do, and he kept going until he was almost dead. And I remember when he rehydrated, I mean, it was almost like at the same time we look at each other and go, we're never doing that. Like, that was stupid. That was actually stupid. We can never do that again. So I think the weight cutting, but you're saying really cornering. I mean, there was a couple of times I left people in the corner. They just wouldn't listen, and I just walked out. That was more kickboxing back in the day. I definitely had way less patience than I have today. So, but there was one guy I'm out of here. What the fuck? You just do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about that because I'm sure, and you know, because we've cornered together. So I don't know if we've run into that together, but there's a couple of people, they just, for whatever reason, they just don't have the ability to listen. And then it just becomes frustrating because, like, you know, from coaching on the outside, you could see certain things.
Yeah.
And you really want your guy to do them, but if they can, it just becomes frustrating. But I can't think of anybody off the top of my head because normally those guys wouldn't last long either, so they're not going to be here long. Because I would say there's nothing I could do for you.
I mean, I could say one of my brothers.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Maybe
yeah.
both of them.
Yeah,
and maybe because
yeah,
his family is like cornering is like everything you say is like non-existent.
Yeah.
And
Troy
just,
Troy was tough.
I'm just here for
Troy,
emotional support at this point.
Yeah.
But I was just interested in that.
Yeah, no, that was no, the weight cutting I think always was tough to watch. Everybody was, it's funny, everybody was different, but everybody was miserable for obvious reasons. But some people, worse than others. I'm laughing now with, last time in Vegas for Merab's fight with Jan.
What the fuck, Jake?
No, I'm like this. I'm like, I want to go see Merab for the weight cut. And Aljo goes, yeah, I'm not really sure he wants people. Remember the time we were in the hotel room and he threw us out? And I'm like, no, I don't remember that. And then like 2 hours later, I call Matt up and I go, Matt, come on, we're going to go to the PI, watch just to support Merab making weight. He goes, you sure? Don't you remember the time in the hotel room? He goes, where he threw us out. And I'm like, what did I do? Was I on the phone? I don't remember that. And then we get to the PI, and I go, now I'll never forget it, because he's miserable. He wanted to kill poor Jake. Jake was the villain.
Jake, what the fuck? I tell you, Jake! Jake!
When I seen Iaquinta scrambling around trying to find something for him, I go, man, this is code red. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I go, I can't look at this. And that was brutal. So now it makes sense about him throwing us out of the room. But that's what a great guy I think Merab is. He doesn't even want to see. He's doing that more for us. I don't think he wants us to see him like suffering. You know what I mean? I don't think it has anything to do with him. But I think that's how nice of a guy he is.
Yeah, and it goes to show you, like, even the toughest of us, mentally, physically, the weight cut, man, that thing will take it out of anybody. The toughest man, it will just make you into this miserable, angry person. As much as you're like, no, I'm going to be good this time. I'm going to try to be patient with everybody. You're literally like on your deathbed, man.
Yeah.
So even that one time I saw Weidman.
Where were we at the Garden?
At the Garden.
Yeah. That was nothing too. Oh. And that was nothing.
That was brutal for me.
Yeah.
Because Rudy was there, wasn't?
We had everybody there.
And I always tell this to everybody. Cause I seen the dilemma with his chick, and I've seen guys with their females, and I'm just like, how do you cut weight with your lady there? Because it would just be the most frustrating thing for me to have to deal with that. Because I feel like I'm almost managing two different things.
Well, he's the only guy that I've ever seen do that.
Yeah, I've seen
nobody ever.
A couple at
Matt
this point.
Never. Yeah, you never.
Rebecca's been there, but she's never been actively trying to help me cut weight.
And I think the other thing is I remove myself from that. I try to anyway, because I don't even want to see him like that. That was always my problem too as a coach. Like, so I see guys 10 days out before the fight, and I'm like, well, this guy's killing it. Like, it just, and then they make that weight cut, and sometimes it's hard to, it's the old saying, it's not can you make the weight, it's can you fight at the weight.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Very.
Everybody can make the weight, but can you fight at the weight like you were 10 days before that? And that used to become like the bewitching week to me. It's like, oh, please just get hydrated, make sure the rehy goes good. Because I want to see that guy that was 10 days out, man, because that guy's different. And then so I learned even to stop even like interviewing, because I would say everything's great, and then you have a bad weight cut, and it's not. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not. Guys react differently. You had the problem even with the first Jan fight. Like, we were having I think it was going great, but then if one little thing goes wrong, it's over.
That's it.
And people don't realize that. People wake up every day, we just in the gym. Steve's ear is killing him, my Achilles, without even fighting, right? Now you got to hope that you're perfect on that 20 minutes or 15 or 25 minutes. You better hope your ass wakes up feeling good that day, because that's one day. And people wake up every day bitching and moaning about shit.
Yeah. It's a fascinating process for sure. Do you actually remember the first time we met?
I do remember the first time you came in, I think, and we went through this, I think, and I think it was through Iaquinta or Weidman.
It was a little bit of both, but the invite that I got to come down to the gym was from Weidman. It was like, you're a Long Island guy, what are you doing all the way upstate New York?
Oh,
And
shit, man.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was still in Cortland. I was finishing up. So I told him, I was like, yeah, when I'm done, like I already knew right away I was coming back home to Long Island. I was like, let me finish up my degree because I didn't come here for no reason.
Oh, shit, man.
And then I'll come down, check out the gyms. And that's when I went on that little tour, checking out like Lima,
that's my memory, is that you walked in, you know, he seemed like a nice guy, and then, you know, he disappears for like 3 weeks. And I'm like, wait, is the guy, like, what you could see now, I mean, now you know, in hindsight, we run a pretty, like a loose ship that way. We're never soliciting people, right? That I never ever did that in my life.
Yeah.
You know, it was always a recommendation, or somebody wrestled with somebody, or somebody knows somebody. And you came down and you just like, wow, what's the guy doing? Like, and then you came back with Troy. I remember we're sitting in the office here and I'm going, wait a minute, is this guy interviewing me or I'm interviewing him? I was like, now I'm totally confused. Now they're asking me questions. I'm like, you know, like, again, I never solicited anybody to fight, you know, but now I'm starting to get intrigued with him too, because he's in, he's out. And that might have went on 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I think so.
I think then that's when I first met you, but I wasn't really, you know, we were booking, we had other guys fighting, so I guess I wasn't really thinking about it too much until I saw you, like, you know, hitting the bag and, you know, doing things. I go, I'm super talented. Like, you know, you could see you had something different than everybody else. And I think I kind of asked you, like, who trained you? You kind of told me it was YouTube. You said, no, I'm picking up stuff off of YouTube. Is that is that correct? I don't know. That's my memory. I don't know if that's... And Al did that to me too. I go, Al, that looks really good. He goes, yeah, I don't know why I'm doing it though. You know, we had certain angles, like when I first started working with him. So, you know, like, again, back in the day, we had no YouTube, so everything had to be taught hands-on. But now everybody comes in with something, and look, that's not a bad way of learning. Especially if you're a visual person, and then have it when it's explained to you why you're doing things, I think makes a lot more sense. You know,
I got a lot of people who thought I had like a Taekwondo background.
Wasn't that crazy? And you never took Taekwondo.
Never.
Isn't that correct? That's crazy.
It was the bunch of the VHS tapes where the Kung Fu. Which one of you guys hit me? One of those.
Yeah.
And me and my brothers, we would always fight each other, and we have to have like a style, the drunken dragon or the drunken monkey, funny, and we have to do like the emulation of them and stuff like that. White Tiger, and that's how we would fight with those styles and try to do what we saw on the tapes. And that was at a very young age, so maybe that had something to do with it. Other than that, I never did anything.
That's crazy. And I'll tell you, again, I never had that luxury of being able to look at like a videotape or YouTube. And, you know, we've had this conversation with, I think it was Mike Pyle, back in the day when jiu-jitsu first came here to New York. I'm going to say I was probably the first student from Long Island to train with Kukak back in the day. And, you know, it was like they would teach you like 1 or 2 moves and then you would roll a little bit. But it was really very structured and, you know, it's new at the time. So you're waiting for the next week to get the next move, something new. And they kept dangling that carrot in front of you, Mike. Because remember, we'd go to seminars, we'd try to do it. Then you're getting one up on a guy, you know, back in the day, because nobody knows anything, so everything's working.
Yeah.
Right? And then when it got competitive and it became down to attributes and who was bigger, stronger, faster, who was training more, but back in the day, it was really fun. But they kept you at, and there's no tapes either.
Yeah.
So we're going to the city to learn. By the time I got back to the set, I forgot half the fucking moves. Wrestling was never my thing. I was just doing it because, you know, I was a martial artist. I figured this will round out my game a little bit. And it wasn't until, you know, I met Serra there, where he would come to, like, I think I was the only guy with a boxing ring in my school. So we had kind of, you know, it was matted and it was an area to work out. And he'd come back and run a class, whatever we were doing in the city, would show everybody. Well, we had like a small jiu-jitsu group, which was great, but it did make you appreciate things more.
But you rolled with him back then a lot.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I got the shit beat out of me too. I don't wanna,
you gotta see what the yarn bar looks like.
Yeah. No. I'm still.
What was your best move? What was your best move when you were grappling like that?
I like any Kimura, anything on top where I could get you. If from the guard, I like the Kimuras. I was too slow for like the arm bars and the triangles and shit. My legs were huge back then too. So, and that stuff was new to me, but.
Is there like tape of this? I personally would
love to see that.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
There were a couple of
vintage gold.
There were a couple of times I was rolling, and Matt goes, "Dude, if you could get my stand up to look like you're rolling," which is a huge compliment. But then you know what it is, when you start training people, I put myself on the back burner. I kind of dropped most of my martial art training just to become a better trainer and research and talk to people, go to the boxing gyms, whoever you could get information from.
Yeah.
And see what anybody else was doing. Because back then it was like an arms race. Like, again, there's no internet, or it's just in its infancy. So you really had to rely on who you knew and, who wrestled. Like, the wrestling guys were big, like for the weight cutting. I would talk to friends of mine that boxed. They were just they might as well have been in 1920. They were in the, sweatsuits, riding the bike in the sauna.
Yeah.
But the wrestling guys really helped out a lot. Like, there was one fight with Matt we went to, and we knew jack shit about weight cutting. And Gil Castillo, that's a name from the past, was a champion in the UFC at the time. What a great guy. He saved us. No, eat this, do that. Because we would go out to Vegas 2 weeks early because we thought the altitude change was a lot. Now, nobody does that anymore, but, I guess because it's not that big of an issue. But we were always out there 2 weeks before. So thank God for Gil Castillo. He saved us on the weight cutting a couple of times. And then everybody started getting better. And then the water loading started happening. And you got people that were into nutrition. Everybody was adding their 2 cents, and I think we're at a great spot. I think people right now know how to cut weight effectively better than they ever did. With the least amount of damage, I think.
Even still, I'm like, it's like, yeah, but it's also the discipline part that's like.
Yeah. I don't know how we got off on that, because I know you want to see a tape of me rolling. I wish we had something.
So even for myself, like I always looked up to guys like, in terms of fight style, like John Jones,
without a doubt,
GSP, Dominic Cruz, Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber, and Stephan Bonner. Like these were the guys I looked up to when I first started. Because obviously John Jones, we went to the same school for a semester, and I was training at the gym he was training at originally at Bomb Squad, and the other guys were just people I watched along the way. So those are people like I would try to emulate in the beginning, not really knowing what I was doing. I didn't really have like a rhyme or reason why I was doing stuff. I just saw shit on TV. I was like, let me try all this crazy stuff, spinning back kicks, jumping knees, and see what works. So I guess for you, like, were there any like coaches that you saw that you wanted to? Because I think you were more so one of the pioneers in terms of the MMA space. I didn't know if there was anyone from like boxing that you saw that you probably looked up to or saw anybody like that in that light.
Yeah, I think it'll make sense. Big Angelo Dundee fan.
Who did he coach?
He coached Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard.
Okay.
And Sugar Ray Leonard's my favorite boxer of all time. So, he's the guy in the corner when Leonard was fighting her and saying, "You're blowing it, kid, you're blowing it." So I think because of guys like that, and football, Vince Lombardi, my dad would always say this guy's, got it good, and we'd watch those games, and he was a disciplinarian too, so I tried to mix like everything in. I can keep going on this too, but I'll end it with those two guys. But so Dundee, it was to me it was more about motivation. It really wasn't about technique. I can't explain this stuff. You're going to do what you're going to do. If I could make you believe you're going to do it better than you think you're going to do it, like we had this conversation the other day.
Yeah.
If you believed in yourself the way I believed in you, there'd be dead bodies on the floor. I know that doesn't make sense to you, but
I get
you know what I mean? Like that's the way, that's what I really feel. But I still have to stay within your style. I know where to push it, like where not to, like when not even to talk to you, because you get like you're making weight or you're doing something. Sometimes it's not the time, but I always liked Dundee for the motivational aspect, and I think a guy like I always loved Bill Parcells. I like the motivators were more because I mean technique wise, I mean I think everybody's got that.
Yeah.
It's got to be beyond that. It has to be. I don't know. I don't even know.
Who that last guy coach?
Which guy?
Carcello, you said? Dundee? You said Dundee?
Dundee. Vince Lombardi was with the Green Bay Packers at the time, which was great. And Bill Parcells was the Giants coach back in like the 80s when they were crushing it, like with Lawrence Taylor. And those. I don't know if that's way before your time or not. But
yeah, I didn't really start watching football like that until like high school, really, where they came out with the video game NFL Street. And then that's when I discovered the Giants. I was like, oh, this is my favorite team, Jeremy Shockey.
Oh yeah,
Tiki Barber, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So but again, so I definitely, I was very used to be back in the day, because remember I had guys win the gloves, I had kickboxing champs. I was really vocal in the corner, like to the point, like crazy. I've learned to calm down a little bit, you know. I mean, I think a lot of it. Like I'd get done with a kickboxing fight, I'm drenched. Like I just was constant screaming and, you know, motivating and stuff like that. But I learned how to relax a little bit, so it all worked out. But
yeah, I would get headaches, man. Coaching kids in high school and in college.
But you're good with that. Look, I always say, look, if like even, I don't know what's happening with the team in the future, you're the only guy I trust, you know, because, I mean, Serra's he's very vocal, like when I stop, he's out. You know, but I would trust you because you're a student of the game, very cerebral. That's what I'm saying. Like, I might coach you, right? I might coach Aljo. I don't even, you know, but I'm asking Aljo about other fights. Like if Weidman's got a fight coming up, I'm asking you. You know what I mean? Because I trust him. I know he'll break it down right, and he's going to see stuff that I don't see. And you know, and I think you're going to make you're already a great coach. You know, we've cornered together, and he's got a specific style. I know what he's looking for, and I'm looking for something else. I think when you blend them, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple of times you got to step in and punch. You're like, move, don't engage. You know, like I'm like, all right, Aljo, slow down a bit. Yeah, who was that? Armando? We had that with, or somebody. I don't know, maybe Dylan. I was like, no, you got to go. He's always the more cerebral. You know, and he's right. Look, fighting should be hit and not get hit. That's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
So if you follow that, you're going to follow more of what his style is, because sometimes you got to take one to give a couple. So 100%. It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and you know, you've done it where you feel you got to throw down, man. That's it. Period. You know, you definitely don't want to get backed up by somebody. So it's funny. So it's I like it in the corner because I kind of know where he's going, and he knows exactly where I'm going. So it makes for a good combo, I think, anyway.
And especially if you know the style of the guy. Like, if it's like a
you have
Dilemi.
to, though.
Yeah, like Dilemi, what are you going to tell him? Like, I'm not going to tell Dilemi to get on his bike. And
Right. You know where Dilemi's good, 100%.
So he needs to kind of step in there, and he lands one. We know, like, that guy's probably going out.
Yeah, because, look, you got a special talent, too, that fits your style. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of guys could get away with what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know? That's why I like when Henry was looking at the fight, and they say, why don't you just hit him? His head was, you know, he was like this. I couldn't hit him. Like, but when you're on the outside looking in, it looks like, just fucking punch the guy in the face. You know what I mean? Like, it's that easy. But it's not that easy when you get in. I think that's what he's got it. He looks like he's got some kinks in the armor, which maybe eventually will, but I think he'll adapt also. But then when you're in there, that timing, it's just a 18th of a second. It's different. It's different. You think you're going to, sometimes, you know, and there's not a worse feeling than thinking you're going, even like if I go in sparring, I think I'm going to beat the crap out of somebody, and then I'm getting the shit beat out of me. That's a shitty feeling. If you go in, that's why you can never go in pre-thinking anything. Just respond, you know what I mean?
There's been times I've gone into sparring, like with Merab specifically, and I'm like, today I'm going to sit in the pocket. Yeah. And I don't care how many times he shoots, I'm going to try to throw my hands and really work my striking against a high-level grappler. And then you do it for like 30 seconds, and next thing you know, you're just like, I can't time
100%.
What's going on in here.
Yeah, you got to keep, that you got to get, look, it's like, hey, do me a favor, just go southpaw this round.
Yeah.
And then you go southpaw and you start getting the shit beat out. You have get the fuck out of here. I'm not comfortable. That's why I liked what Bazooka did. His southpaw. Who was he working with that needed a southpaw? Frivola. What a great job he did. That's not easy.
I wish people got to see that.
And Frivola's bombing, you know what I mean? And Bazooka was awesome as a southpaw. I think I was liking his southpaw better than his orthodox. I'm not even kidding around. I was like, because when I first started watching, I'm like, oh, he's not going to last another minute like that. Dude, he's doing all the round southpaw. Yeah. I got to give him credit, man. I think that, because I've seen people with good intentions want to do it, and they can't do it.
And then they switch right back.
They switch right back.
I know one of the things I always remember that you would always say, whether it's to others or even to me, was in order to knock somebody out, you have to be in position to
100%.
Also be knocked out yourself. And that's always stuck with me, because I always tell myself, all right, today, this is the fight. Yeah. Today's the day. I'm going to get in the mix. And then somehow, some way, I hit them, and I'm like, Yeah, I don't want to do that.
But see, what I like about him too, he's too honest. This guy, this is too honest of a guy. This is the problem. So, and this is why only the inner circle understands this. But 2 weeks ago, I think Fight Pass came down. They were doing like a spot on me in the gym or just me, whatever it was. And they wanted to interview like whoever, Matt, Aljo. Aljo walks in and I go, Aljo, lie. Just fucking lie. Don't give a shit. Don't think about nothing. Don't be, just fucking lie. Just make me look good. I never said this to anybody in my life. I go, you lie. I don't give a shit what it is. Because he'll start going, hey, yeah, I'm not really sure what he's doing. I'm not really, he's going to really start thinking the questions. I don't give a shit. It's just a fucking 8-minute spot lie. It's just, it's okay. But this is it. He's honest. Even when he's sparring, that's what I love about him. And then you gotta know how to adjust accordingly, man. You know, I know what he likes and what he doesn't like. And what he doesn't realize, and it goes back to what your like your high school, your college wrestling coach, those things, like at the beginning, you were trying different things. I put you in there with guys that box professionally. You're doing, and you might not like it, but you're building without even knowing it. And then all of a sudden, you get more confidence, and you find out what style fits you the best. You know, it's like a Jeet Kune Do mentality. You know, I mean, not everybody's the same way, and that's what I think. I think that's what's good. That's what makes you unique, and that's why people are having a hard time figuring out. And your wrestling jiu-jitsu combination is sick. There's no question about it. You know, that's I'm going to say is the best in the game. And then you put it with this crazy ass fucking throwing 80 kicks around and your fucking head's all over the place. It makes for a fucking great fight for me anyway. You know.
It's just funny when you say that, because then I remember in Abu Dhabi when I was cutting weight and Al and I were wrestling predominantly for the majority of it. Or I think it was actually Merab and I were wrestling and grappling. And then you were like falling asleep in the corner. And as soon as Al and I started hitting pads, and
I'm waking right up. I woke right up. Yeah. That's what I love to see.
It was like, there we go. Now we're talking. This is what I came here to see.
Yeah, that I'm always going to be. I'm always going to be more with the stand-up than the wrestling, but I do really appreciate it.
Yeah,
I go back to, you know, like before Weidman, like we would use. See, that's an interesting thing for you. So before Chris came here, we would use whoever was a high school wrestler.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a guy. I think Matt was wrestling with Sergio Nicolosi. Went to the States with Jay Haran. They're still great friends, you know, even to this day. And Matt would wrestle with him. But it was not the level that when Weidman walked in. And then, you know, Al, you guys all had that really solid wrestling background, which I never saw before. And I was like, holy, I am blown away by it. You know, especially with Chris, because he was fucking huge too. So,
see a big guy moving like that.
Yeah, who the hell was doing anything? You know, if you weren't at that level, I mean, the guy was literally killing you. You had no chance. You know what I mean? So, I really started to appreciate the wrestling, and then, you know, if you could use your hands and your legs to get what you want with the wrestling, I think what better combination is that? But. And a lot of guys didn't make that transition. I think a guy like Jake Rochelle just never did it, you know. And I remember,
I don't like saying this, but he was terrible to watch.
Yeah, he was, and he was a great wrestler.
Yeah,
he was a great wrestler. So when I saw
national champ, I think too.
Yeah. When I saw him and Johnny Hendricks together, and this is, you could ask Weidman, you could ask a bunch of guys. I was looking at them. This is both before they were in the UFC. I go, Hendricks is your guy. I go, the other guy's not going anywhere. This is before they even fought. I saw, like, you know, once I start seeing the head turning with the punches, I'm like, you're not getting over that in like 3 months or 4 months. Hendricks was bombing. And I go, I'm going with that guy. That guy I like. And then look what happened. Hendricks went on and had a great career, and Jake struggled, you know, which sucks. But we're not saying anything bad. Just wasn't for him. A lot of guys just don't want to get hit, you know. And
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But it's like, if you're going to be tentative that way, then there's got to be something you could do. Like, he would take guys down, and he would just lay on them.
See, that's like, another, you're bringing up a good, why not get the ground and pound?
Yeah,
why not just get that aspect down and get it? Yeah, that's true.
That was what I didn't like. I was like, this is terrible to watch. I'm like, it's almost like the Sabatini kid.
Yeah. Who's that?
The Italian gangster? Sabatini.
Yeah.
But even going back to what you said, like, one of the things that we did a lot of when I was in college was the off-season wrestling, because I lost twice going into, not even twice. My freshman year I couldn't go because we were in a probationary period. I went 35-14 as a freshman. Didn't cut any weight. Wrestled at my natural weight, 133. My sophomore year, now I'm starting to cut weight. I'm starting to fill out, starting to grow a little bit, hit a little bit of a growth spurt.
So that's killing you.
Yeah, so now I'm cutting weight to make 133. And I would never listen to my coach, and I would never be in the weight room. If I went to the weight room, I was doing push-ups and pull-ups the entire time. And they hated me because I did things my way.
That's not a bad thing, though.
Yeah, but they wanted me to be deadlifting, hang cleans, and I would win matches. But I couldn't beat the big names. I couldn't beat the names of the returning All-Americans. And this one kid from Ithaca College beat me 5 times in a row. And I remember my junior year, my sophomore year, going into the conference finals to go and qualify for the national tournament. He beat me again after he beat me 5 times in a row.
Yeah,
that's the main thing. And after I lost that match, I told my coach, I told Bruin, I go, okay, I'm all in. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it.
Oh, you never told me this
because
before.
Clearly, I don't know what I think I know. And
that's interesting.
And my ego was in the way. I was like, I've win matches like this. I would just go upper body, throw guys, body lock them, and hit throws, big moves. I couldn't shoot. Like even like my match with Henry, like the way I shoot is very ugly.
Yeah.
It's a lot better now, but back then it was very ugly. I was good once we clinched. I'm like, all right, I'm taking you up.
Yeah, nice.
So with that being said, I remember in that off season, we put in so much time focusing on 2-on-1 ties, where all the up close moves, front headlocks. And he said to me, if you can score 1 or 2 times out of the front headlock position where you're in that literally 5 to 7 times in a match and you never score. Say you score 1 or 2 times, those matches aren't even close. And it's like the same thing with the fight. If I can score in those positions where I'm in the front headlock, where the guy's taking me down, he's in the front headlock on top of me, or I'm in that position learning how to work from there, or learning how to score from there when I'm in the offensive position, it changes the game. But like you said, it compounds, and you don't realize how much better you get.
Without a doubt.
And then that next season, we wrestled at the Ithaca Invitational. There's 2 returning All-Americans, the kid that beat me 5 times in a row, his teammate who was a national champ, now going up a weight class, trying to take that kid's spot, and there was a national qualifier from another school. I wrestled the national qualifier in the quarters. I beat him by a couple good points. Then I beat the kid who was a returning national champ. I beat him in the semifinals, and then I beat the kid who beat me 5 times in a row for the first time.
Oh, you did beat. I'll tell you. So wait. There's a lot to unpack here. First, so you went back to your coaches, which is great.
Yeah,
that's a great part. Do you think psychologically, after like losing 3 times, it was just mentally fucking with you more than even physically, or you think sticking with the physical part?
I think it was mental.
Yeah, because this is where I'm going. So this is why I'm going to tell you something. I love Israel Adesanya for that fact.
Yeah.
He got beat and he got knocked out twice. Bad. Not bad, but, pretty bad.
First one was...
Yeah, pretty bad. He came back and won that fight. I think, like, again, it's not even technical. It's how he overcame himself with that mental aspect to go in there. And now when you go back and look at it, it was calculated.
Yeah.
I give this guy, that to me, if it's Eugene Behrman, he's a great coach. He doesn't even need that to be a great coach. But that to me, as I'm looking, means more than anything to me, because that hurdle, and especially the story you just told, that hurdle's not easy.
That mental
that's
block.
Crazy. And you did beat him after 5 times.
After 5 times. There was twice that I was winning, and I was so excited within that 5 time, that 5 losing stretch. That skid, Chad Winovich. Wow. We still talk like occasionally, like here and there, he'll drop me a message like congrats or whatever. Yeah. Like he's following along.
Those bonds you build are unbreakable, really good.
The guy beat me 5 times in a row. He beat me a total of 6. I won 3.
Oh, that's not bad. It's got a happy ending.
It's got a happy ending. But it just all comes back to, like, it's you in your own way, and how do you figure out a way to trust in what you're doing? Because the physical part is the easy part. But I'm like, there's nothing I'm doing different than the other matches. It's just, this kid just has my number. And I had to realize, like, it's not that he has my number. I need to just trust what I'm doing and trust the process. And all the reps that we did made me believe in the moves and the setups that we did, and I finally beat him. It was the most emotional week ever. I got D3 Wrestler of the Week. I got MOW of the tournament.
Unbelievable.
I was ranked number 1 in the entire D3 for like a couple weeks until I finally lost.
See, I don't know. Have you ever talked about this? Because these are the things people need to know. Like, you know, like you see, like right now you see just the tip of the iceberg. You're a champion. You don't see the rest of that iceberg. What got you there?
Exactly.
And this is huge like that. That's why I say I always love even, and it doesn't have to even be a technical thing. That's why I always love when we go out, you bring Dave Montana with you. He's an older guy, but he watched out for you when you were a kid, and to me, this is how I'm judging people, and you always say it, but it's an old thing, but there's a guy you never forgot, and you could easily, there's a million people out there that would have forgotten that guy, but he did help you, and I'll never forget, when you first came here, Montana goes, Ray, if you need anything, money, anything to help this guy, let me know. And obviously I would never call him for anything, but he did say that. I don't know if I ever even told you that.
I never knew.
Yeah,
100%. First time hearing that.
100%. We were upstairs doing something maybe for Weidman or something, and he's a big wrestling guy. He loves it. He supports everybody. But with you, he said, Ray, if you need anything, literally, let me know just to get you there. So again, that's a big, that's something that is huge.
Yeah.
Just even again, doing the right thing, building character. Again, people don't see this shit, They just see maybe, we're acting stupid once in a while, and that's what they focus in on. But when you really break people down, that's what I was trying to say. You got to get to listen to people. Like even today, I only know him 10 years. I feel like this is the first fucking conversation I really had with the guy, which is crazy. But when you get to know people, instead of just talking over them, you take the time to listen, you can make your decisions way better. That's one thing I learned as I was getting older. I really want to get inside this guy. What makes him tick? Like, why? And then I think you could, adjust the way you train him with people, too. You know what I mean? But these stories are great. People don't get to hear this shit.
Yeah.
And, again, it might bore people. It doesn't. I look at how many years I know you. I never heard this before,
Yeah, that was. I feel like that was a big turning point in my career, and then my approach, because it was just like I would just go to practice, and then when I started putting the extra time in, I realized the more time, because for me with Dave, he took me in the off season and helped me out. So I closed the gap in the off season, but then during the season, I was only doing what everyone was doing.
And I tell you, me being an outsider, watching kids wrestle, it's 24/7, 360. There is no off season.
And that's where you close that gap.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, it's all fucking mat time.
Yeah.
You're not making that up. That's why I say, guys, what are you going to wrestle for 2 months? You think you're going to make up what a guy did 20 years of? Good luck, try it. That's why, again, but again, if I'm coaching somebody, I'm going to turn to a guy like GSP and go, look at this bastard. He never wrestled in high school or college.
And
look how successful he is. So it goes both ways, what I mean? So you have to believe that you could do it, but it is hard to make that up, but I think he did. He was phenomenal for that aspect. I would always use him as an example of, well, it is possible. That's why I say, even when you're with Henry, I don't want to hear about the gold medal. It was 20 years ago. And I first of all, respect Henry. I really do love the guy. I not love him, but I like him. I like his shtick. I like everything.
Yeah.
And the gold medal thing is absolutely phenomenal. Anybody who represents this country comes up. But, it was 20 years ago, whatever, 15 years ago. Now it's now. Again, can Henry wrestle the gold medal winner this year? What happens in that?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's where you got to look. You got to be real about it, too. You know what I mean? So, that thing just came out about when he was in the corner August 19th. They're saying August 19th. I'm taking it like these son of a bitches knew everything, but they're saying that's when Henry won the gold medal. But
yeah,
I think when you're down to motivating a guy like that, remember your gold medal from 2002. You're asking a 36-year-old man. That's tough, man. That's hard. That's a leap.
It is.
But I get it and I like it, but can't beat Father Time sometimes with stuff.
And even that outside time that I put in with the training, I would grab my coach and we'd do one-on-one privates. And this is where I was even asking about you guys watching the tape, and then we could come up with just some drills to work on, because I know for me what helped me get to the top with wrestling. Well, not even the top, but helped me become an All-American.
Yeah.
And that was the difference, just having certain things that they saw, and then they showed me, broke it down, and then we just 3 times a week, 2 or 3 times a week. Most of the time throughout the entire season, 3 times a week. Off season, I stayed upstate in college. I had fights as an amateur, and I was drilling and wrestling and still trying to get to where I wanted to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then we had the conference final later that year as a junior. So I finally beat him the first time, and then as a junior, he's a senior. We both lost, and we were in the wrestlebacks, and we had to wrestle each other in the consi semis to go for third and fourth. And I remember the match was so close because he beat me in the conference finals that year. Because my sophomore year he beat me, so I didn't get to go. I didn't get the wild card. My junior year he beat me in the conference finals again.
That's fucking.
This time my coach told me to do a move.
And
I did the move, and he capitalized on it and scored.
Man.
And he felt so bad. Paul LeBlanc.
Yeah.
He felt so bad. I love him though. I love Paul.
That's yeah. Look, I'm like go
No,
ahead.
I love Paul because we always like break balls.
Because
about
I'm gonna defend the coach.
Yeah.
But it's like I say, Aljo, look, I want you to do a jump shot like that. And the first time you go to do it, a guy he slams the ball in your head. And you're like, hey, Ray, that shot doesn't work. Oh no, the fucking shot works. You didn't make it work. Like you didn't do it, but the shot is good. So I'm defending him. I don't know if that's justified or not.
We were in a certain position. He couldn't see the other side, but I just assumed that he did because he's a coach. And we drilled together so many different times to prepare for this. He's the one who helped me beat the guy in the first place.
Yeah.
And then that position, he takes me down, and I look over, and he was just like, he kind of knew. He was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, so look, I've been there.
Yeah.
Hey, do something, and the guy gets counted because the guy's listening to me maybe or whatever. I don't know, but do you feel like shit? But
yeah, and that was my experience not knowing that position as well because I knew he knew, but he didn't see the other thing that he had. But whatever. I lose him in the finals. I end up getting the wild card to go, so I go to nationals, and me and him wrestle in the consi semis, and I beat him by I think like 3 points, and I finally got to go. So I got to go. I wrestled for third and fourth, and that was the way I was like, at least I got the one up on my arch nemesis,
I'll tell
who
you
ended
what,
up being
man,
a really good guy.
Those are all building blocks, man.
Yeah.
You really got to go back to your past and see what how'd I get here? Like, what defines me? And there's always something, man. There's always clues left, that you could look at. But, like, even now I'm listening to this, I'm enjoying the shit out of this because I've never heard these stories before, so it's pretty cool.
Do you think there's, like, something in common with everyone that was, like, that strung together a championship run? And when I say championship run, I mean, like, just getting to the title shot situation.
I think... they just asked me this. I don't know if I answered it right, but I think it's the adversity in the childhood is a huge motivating factor for guys that make it to the top. I don't know why, but I feel like, maybe you came from 19 kids, whatever problems you had family-wise, which you had some problems. I think, believe it or not, without those, you might not have made it. I know it sounds weird. That's the way I'm looking at it. Weidman, his brother tortured him. They beat the shit out of him. He didn't want that to ever happen again. He starts wrestling. Matt, we know what he did. He was, like he'll tell you, he was destined to be like a security guy. Look at him now, So, he hit that adversity with the legal problem. And I think there's certain people that go, and this is why I think it's important, because you could acquiesce to that. That's just the way it is. Or you could say, fuck, I don't ever want to go back here again. Yeah. I don't ever want to be here again. I think Weidman living in his mother's basement with Marivi, you remember those days? Like, I just want to get the fuck out. And that burning desire to get to another level, that's the only common denominator I see. All super talented guys in different areas. So there's not a common thread, everybody did this good. You do certain things better than Weidman better than Matt better than Weidman better than, you know what I mean? It's not linear logic. If A could beat B, B could beat C, you know what I mean? So I think you guys all had a great foundation. Matt had the jiu-jitsu going in. You had, Weidman, strong wrestler. You had good wrestling and crazy stand-up. So that part's different, but I think if I go back, I could always find something in the childhood that just gave you the burning desire to want to succeed. Like, that's why we had this conversation a while ago. I'm not worried about you doing a John Jones, going out smashing your car or whatever. I'm not pissing on the guy. But you're like, really? I go, no, really, because you appreciate your money. Yeah. You knew where you were at. You don't want to go back there.
I'm afraid to go broke,
100%. That's the best thing. That's going to keep you in check, though.
All the time.
That's what's going to keep you in check,
I think people don't even realize that. Not even like people out there, like in my circle. You know, I do have friends that kind of be like, yo, man, you can't take the money with you. I think they kind of changed that tune a little bit, but I just tell them like, dude, I didn't work this hard to come this far just to come this far.
Yeah.
And I heard that's like from a song.
Well, hold on. First of all, let me just say, you can't take the money with you, but that's something you tell a guy who's 50 or 60 who's not spending. You're a young guy.
Yeah.
You need that fucking money to get what you want. You know what I mean? And you want that money to make more money for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's common sense. So, yeah, it's a little premature. You can't take away. So, what, you want me to piss it away now? So by the time I'm 40, I'm broke again?
Yeah.
And I can't fight?
I don't want to make it too literal, but I think they're more like enjoy your life a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I do enjoy my life.
But you're 100%. So they can't tell you how to enjoy your life, though.
Yeah.
You enjoy. Sometimes I like sitting on the couch and watching TV. You know, I don't know. That's what I feel like doing. That to me is enjoying. Maybe somebody else that's not enjoying. You know what I mean? So, I always said this. I think.
Like I try to use everyone's accounts, and Jake won't let me use his HBO Max account.
Come on,
he's telling me I'm rich, and I'm broke. Yeah. I told Jake I'm broke.
Logged into my HBO right now.
I gotta tell you, I think one combinator.
I can't even get into my HBO.
I think one common denominator with all of us, and especially like we're happy with what we got. Like that's what I'm saying. I think that's what I feel I'm blessed with. That I'm not one of those guys. I want more, and that's all I'm thinking about instead of enjoying the process and having a good time. I don't want to be like that, but I think I'm happy. I'm really content. I think if you look at Matt, he's content with what he's doing. Like everybody's happy, so
which is always nice to see.
Yeah, if you get into that, I just want more. You never win. I think it's a losing proposition. I think I can come up with 50 people like that I could prove that theory with. But yeah, I don't know, man. You're doing the right thing right now with your money. You're doing perfect, I think, anyway.
Well, thank you, sir. Yeah. Jake, did you have any other questions before we?
Ray, what's your prediction for the O'Malley fight?
Ray prediction.
Let me tell you something. There's only one.
Sugar Tits versus Funk Pappy.
I'm gonna say with all the drama going on, and I know, I know you want to be relaxing. Fravola's in Italy. You guys fought on the same card.
Yeah. We got some questions.
Oh no.
On the YouTube channel.
Oh, did we?
I didn't even realize.
All right,
this.
so we'll get to those. But anyway, there's only one way to prove it. You got to jump on this guy's back and just take the life out of him. You got to choke him out, and leave him laying on the canvas, and that's the only solution that'll make everybody happy.
I got two ways I would like to choke him out: the John Jones Lyoto Machida way, viciously cold, and then the way Weidman versus Bongfeld. No, Tom Lawler.
I was going to say, because Bongfeld was similar.
Yeah.
So that he just standard guillotined him, right? Bongfeld, if I'm not mistaken.
He didn't just drop him, though.
I don't know.
Or was that Tom Lawler?
Well, nobody did it like Jones and Machida.
Yeah.
No, Lawler was on the floor. The other guy, remember you had that picture with Weidman's back looked massive.
Yeah,
just
fucking nasty.
Oh, he had squeeze strength from fucking hell, that guy. Holy shit.
But I say that one with Weidman is either the Lawler or the Bongfeld fight where he choked him out. And then he stands over him, he's rubbing his chest and trying to.
Well, maybe that was it. Yeah, that I remember. Yeah.
It was like, it's okay.
No, he was a nice kid, Bongfeld.
Someone said, "What got you into coaching, and how much longer do you see yourself doing it?" Oh, that's actually a good question.
Sheesh.
That's a tough one.
Let's go backwards. I'm going to say, and I screwed this up the other day, but I thought about this. So when I was I'm going to say 18. There was an upholstery shop. This is a crazy story. There was an upholstery shop in my neighborhood my friends worked at. So every year, this upholstery shop would fight another upholstery shop in boxing. No, this is crazy. So it was out at exit 64 out in Medford, and the guy would put up a shitty roped off ring. He'd have bleachers there, catered to food, and I was like, this is crazy, So my friend Mike Siborowski came to me and goes, can you train me? I go, I don't know, what the fuck, I don't know. He goes, well, you're doing martial arts. I was always doing martial arts since I'm 14, and that's pretty loose because back then we'd have to define what martial arts is. Like, again, it's at the, not at the infancy, but kind of. But anyway, so I'm like, fucking, I don't know. And then I don't know where the fuck I'm coming up with shit. But I end up training him, and he fights a guy that was supposedly in the Golden Gloves. I'm like, oh, this is going to go shitty, man. This guy just started, training. And my buddy knocks him out in the second round. Out east. I remember guys, somebody gave me like $25. Like at the time, like they might have bet $100. They're giving me money. And I was like, wow, this is fucking weird. I'm just coming as my friend, and I'm like normally, like even with Matt, like everything was like friendship with me, nothing ever like business wise. And about 2 months later, I'm pumping gas, and this guy comes up to me, goes, wait, were you at the fight you trained Sib? Because you think you could train me for the next event? I'm like, holy shit, this training thing isn't a bad gig, I guess. You know, I'm getting a lot of attention. Guys are throwing money at me. They're doing this. And I think that's what gave me the bug at 19. I didn't even know what the fuck I was doing. And I used to have the pictures at the old gym. I can't even find them anymore of him knocking the guy out. And I wish I had him because it was me at 19. My hair's down to my shoulders. It was fucking crazy.
Oh, that would have been great.
No, great. I think I got a Bruce Lee shirt on. And so I think that was what it kind of gave the bug to me. And then... I don't know. Then I started doing martial arts, teaching martial arts, and hey, somebody came in who wanted to fight, and he became a world kickboxing champion. So it just was something that I don't think I was looking to do, but I embraced it, and I guess, I figured I was never going to make a good fighter. What's the next best thing? I'll coach, Yeah. So I think that was it, though. It just started from day one, and I guess whatever it was, like again, if a guy had a stick fighting champion. Like whatever you do, I felt like I could find a way to get you there at the time. Yeah. But I'm like 30 at that time. I'm young, Like I feel bad. Like, how old was I when I met you? 53. Like you're not even technically like there's a side of me you don't even know.
2012.
Right. So yeah, how long ago is that? 8. Yeah, I'm in my 50s. I'm like 52. So and that's like 62 today.
This one, I hate these questions, but someone asked, I would love to hear you and Ray discuss why he thinks you still receive unwarranted hate, both from the fans and the UFC, and what's the solution going forward? It's just like hate for me is just like it's just like such a negative thing to even talk about.
Right. So
I'm not even like about that.
Like,
so
look, first off, and I've received a lot of hate in the future. Recently, it's been good, so I'm happy. It's almost, I feel like you when they were booing Belal and Muhammad. I'm like, hey, as long as it ain't me, this is fucking great. But how could I be mad about somebody hating me I don't know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I'm hating on you, Jake's hating, that sucks, man. Like, man, am I doing something wrong? My friends are now hating on me. That's a little different. But when people don't know you and they hate them, I don't know. I'm just, my way of dealing with it in the past, which my recommendation, just you got to be yourself. I'm not changing. This is who I am. It's either like it or don't like it. But what can you do? I'm definitely not going to change for 1,000 people I don't know are saying something. I might think about it, but you got to be yourself. And why they hate you, I think. Who the fuck knows? I think that first Jan fight, they think that you faked an injury, which is insane. But I think that's it. And like again, we talked about once they have that narrative, it's hard to change them. But I look at it like I think you did. I think you changed over 80% of those people just by what was the best form of beating that? You had to beat Jan, and you beat him fair and square. That's why I always loved that, man. You can't argue with that shit. You know what I mean? Okay, so you think I faked it. So if I faked it and I was getting my ass beat, and I'm talking about everything about that fight, then it's a no-brainer. I'm going to get killed in the second fight.
Yeah.
So I think you proved everybody wrong with your actions. Like, again, it's like, I'm from Missouri. I'd rather watch a winner than listen to one any day. You proved it. That's the hard part. So if they want to hate you after that, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. Someone says, what kind of guitars does Ray like the most? That's a good question.
Believe it or not, I like Ovation guitars, but I'm looking to get like a new Fender. But
is that like the brand?
Yeah, that's the brand, the Ovation.
I don't
It's
know
like a
anything about
special.
guitars.
Yeah, I like Ovation, but my brother played guitars. We always had the Les Pauls and the the Stratocasters in the house.
One good one. I'm curious, when did Longo realize that Aljo could be a long-reigning champion? And was it the Sandhagen fight like myself, or way before that?
Man, I think I'm still figuring it out now. No? Remember the other day, I go, come on, the GOAT? But I think that's what I love. We keep it light and we can fucking bust balls and shit. But man, you got to go down as the GOAT. This is crazy to me. So did I see that? No. I knew you were gonna. I think you'd be champion. Yes, but not to the extent. Like this is really. Like, even I don't give a fuck about if Dillashaw was hurt or not, but I'm telling you, I got mesmerized in that fight because during the first round, I was sitting there going, I can't believe he's doing this to the guy. I didn't even see the shoulder. Quinta told me because I was so focused on how good you were doing. I was like, this is crazy. He's pissing on the guy. Like, I didn't think it would be that easy. And then when I saw that, and then I think it was right around then, I go, no, he's going to be a problem because you know what? It's not the Sandhagen fight. But the Sandhagen fight, I think there were reasons that I think you took with you, I hope. Like that camaraderie you had in the garage, that small training, keeping that circle tight. I think there's strength in numbers. We'll disagree a little bit out because you're the guy fighting and I get where you're coming from. But after the Dillashaw fight, I go, you know what? He overcame that adversity in the first Jan fight, which was fucking brutal because I got 20% of it. People just fucking bombarded me with hatred. You had to sit there for a year. It wasn't like a baseball game where you could go out, you strike out 3 times, you're in next week and you hit a home run and it's over. You had to wait there a year, then you beat Jan, and then when you beat Dillashaw, I go, you know what? He's got momentum. Your confidence is naturally going to grow. They even say that, it's like, whether it's 10% or 20%, you become the champion. I think it wasn't even. So you didn't get that from the first fight because we didn't, it was a lot of drama involved with the disqualification. But after that second Jan fight and then the Dillashaw fight, I go, you know what? Good luck with this guy because now you're free. I think you're fighting free. You're happy where you're at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, like it's icing on the cake to me at this point. And you're just going to go out there and be Aljo, and that's a major problem for people. And the confidence it has to be at an all-time high. You just beat a guy they consider the greatest combat athlete ever, and you beat him. I don't want to hear anything. You beat him. It wasn't a split decision.
That's still so annoying.
So I think right about now, I'm like, you know what? Good luck beating him.
So this is a good one. I think most concerned fight that you think, Ray, that you had to train me or anyone for? Like the most fight, I guess the opponent you were most concerned about for one of your fights.
I'm going to tell you, simple for me for a bunch of reasons. Like the Marlon Moraes fight. Now, I really didn't want you to take that fight. Man, we were training for Ronnie Yaha. Complete Yaha. Yoo-hoo. Yaha. 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 Jake, what the fuck's the matter? Will you grow up? Will you please? You're 22 years old. Act your age. But, no, so we were training for Ronnie Yaha. How many weeks? And when he got hurt, how many weeks did we have?
It was like 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, that sucked. That I didn't like. I definitely didn't like that at all. So that one, I was nervous going in because I knew, it was a completely different style, and we weren't making that adjustment on 3 weeks. So you'll disagree. I know.
I was just so mad. I didn't watch any tape on this guy at all. I was just like I watched the fight, but it was like nothing like trying to study what he's doing or anything. It was just like, he's a kickboxer. This should be no problem.
Yeah.
And I came out like, yeah. I threw the inside kick. He checked it right away. And it hurt really bad.
No, he's got, And
I go,
this sucks,
Yeah, I was like, wait.
This sucks.
I was like, wait a minute.
But I just didn't like the last minute change. If it would have been somebody similar to Ronnie Yaha, think about it. Just go back and look at that now. Ronnie Yaha, Marlon Moraes before he really lost. He lost, whatever is going on in his head.
Yeah.
There's not even a comparison there. You know what I mean? So
2017.
That's why, look, when Merab fought Marlon Moraes, I kind of beat it in his head like, dude, you're going to get hurt in this fight. Are you willing to walk through fight? That's when, we do that shit in the corner. But I just knew, Merab's style and the way he is, he's definitely getting hit. You know what I mean? And he did, and he responded unbelievable. Want to talk about an exciting fight. How great was that being in the corner for that?
Goodness,
but after the first round, was there any doubt in your head who was going to win that fight? No doubt.
I was like, this fight's over.
Fight's over.
I'm like, was it Mark? Mark was there with him, right? Or the Florida guys? At that point, I was just like, yo, you guys should just throw in the towel because you don't know what you're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And jokingly, but I'm like, you guys, I hope you guys understand that this is definitely the beginning of the end.
And I'll tell you, remember that? That's interesting too. Now I'm thinking about this, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm driving to Atlantic City with Matt, and you called me and told me about that fight. Remember Matt was like struggling because of Frankie Edgar?
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I don't give. I personally didn't give a shit. But remember because I see Matt's a little leery because of the jiu-jitsu. That bond is insane, right? With Ricardo's in his corner with Mark Henry. But I think your thing was, Frankie was laughing when I got knocked out. So
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah.
And I definitely was siding with you on that. I go, let's, but
Not
I
like laughing, like ha.
No, I know.
Like
well, you have
jumping
to listen.
and
There's
applauding.
wait, first off, there's. I'm going to say, look, there's nothing wrong. You got to be happy for your guy,
Of
right?
course.
But if you're kind of friends with the camps, you I personally, I tone it down a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and that's the way I
I'll
am,
save
too.
it for the back room, and but.
Yeah, but once I saw that, like I'm knocked out, and then this guy's
Yeah.
like, yeah. I'm like, fuck these guys. I'm coming
And they're
for
great
all
guys.
you
Wait, first off, they're 100% great guys.
Oh, yeah.
And you should be happy for your guy. There's no
Yeah.
question about that. So.
I just felt like the response would have been a little bit more like, all right, we're gonna see these guys again. We're cool,
Yeah.
we're buddies, and
But that was
wasn't quite like
to
that.
answer the question. That was the fight. What time?
mine or Merab's?
4:23.
Yeah, was that mine or Merab's with Moraes? That was me.
No, that was you. Yeah.
Okay, let's do one more. Someone says, how does he still deal with Matt Serra after all these years?
Oh man, it's really hard. It's hard. So I think how I deal with it, I try to limit my time with him. I go like week by week, so I don't have to I don't have to deal with him every day. No, people get a kick out of that. They're like, no, he doesn't like him. You can see when he's. No, of course, there's always love. I mean, with him for sure, because we've been together forever. But wow, is he rough sometimes? He's a little too much.
All right.
That's it.
I think. How long is that?
Hour and 7 minutes.
Oh wow, I thought it was longer for some reason.
It felt like an hour and a half. Holy shit.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Keep it conversation.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good,
Yeah.
man. I appreciate.
That was
Again,
fun.
I feel like I never even talked to you after this. I feel like I swear to God, we have little conversation, but this was like, I'm fucking learning shit here. It's cool, man.
Yeah,
it's good.
But
That
we've
was-
also talked a lot about like my family.
right.
and stuff
Nothing like that. Right.
Just so you guys don't think, oh, you guys aren't friends.
No. Oh no. We're not like that.
That's
No,
what some people would do.
definitely.
They'll turn it
they're
into
not-
that.
They're not going to turn it into that. I don't think.
So we'll do this again, but we got to do you and your 2 other champions.
Oh, that would be
I
amazing.
fucking love it.
That
And
was-
That's why I say I think every Matt Weidman, they'll all give you a different
gotta
view
do
of me.
like a round table.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah. Scrap it up.
Peace.